Well, hello there, book club members. It's nice to see you again. This pipe was gifted to me, as were pipes gifted to all of the hobbits who were appearing together in Calgary last weekend, or weekend before last. And they were so comfortable and fit in the hand so nicely, we just carried them around. Didn't quite smoke them. No long bottom leaf to go to the South Farthing or something. I don't know if any of that made sense. We'll check with the experts. So we finished the Two Towers. We've come to the end of the Two Towers. What a beautiful thing. And I believe the tradition now is for me to read the last little bit ceremonially. So there it is, Two Towers. Hopefully everybody was able to keep up. I saw the conversation was robust and then kind of lagged a little bit, and but that's okay. We all get working, and hopefully we take our reading in little bites and bits, and then we get excited and find ourselves with a few hours and really dig in and cover some good ground. But anyhow, here's the end of the Two Towers. That's what I'm going to do, said Shagrat in angry tones. Put him right up in the top chamber. What for? Growled Gorbag. Haven't you any lockups down below? He's going out of harm's way, I tell you, said Shagrat. See? He's precious. I don't trust all my lads, and none of yours, nor you neither. When you're mad for fun. He's going where I want him, and where you won't come if you don't keep civil. Up to the top, I say. He'll be safe there. Will he? Will he? Said Sam. You're not forgetting the great big elvish warrior that's loose. And with that, he raced around the last corner, only to find, by some trick of the tunnel or of the hearing which the ring gave him, he had misjudged the distance. The two orc figures were still some way ahead. He could see them now, black and squat against a red glare. The passage ran straight, at last, up an incline, and at the end, wide open, were great double doors, leading probably to deep chambers far below the high horn of the tower. Already the orcs with their burden had passed inside. Gorbag and Shagrat were drawing near the gate. Sam heard a burst of hoarse singing, blaring of horns and banging of gongs, a hideous clamor. Gorbag and Shagrat were already on the threshold. Sam yelled and brandished Sting, but his little voice was drowned in the tumult. No one heeded him. The great doors slammed to. Boom. The bars of iron fell into place inside. Clang. The gate was shut. Sam hurled himself against the bolted brazen plates and fell senselessly to the ground. He was out in the darkness. Frodo was alive, but taken by the enemy. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call a cliffhanger. I remember filming that scene. Jeff Murphy was a director. One of the biggest accomplishments of filming the Lord of the Rings trilogy was that Peter Jackson was able to direct 6 or 7 or 8 or maybe even 9 other directors who had different units. They'd take a camera and they'd go and do stuff. And this was Jeff Murphy, who's since passed, a fantastic director and a New Zealand director. And I believe, is he Australian? I'm going to say New Zealander. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But he would make these paper models, these little miniature, castles and airplanes and stuff like that. And while he was sitting waiting for them to set up, and he had them set up all over the monitor. And, he just kind of, it was how he busied himself while waiting, because it takes a long time to get stuff set up. But it was great because when you had, it was like a substitute teacher. You could really take advantage of them. I'm kidding, not really. But if you wanted to do another take running up the stairs, that's for my old gaffer, and knocking the orcs off the side. I don't know. I just had this feeling like we were off, Jeff and me and that splinter unit were off having our fun, making our own swashbuckling movie. And then, Pete would see the dailies, the next day and be like, look good. Oh, that's great. Or he'd be like, go back and do it again. So, all right. So now we come to it. We come to the Return of the King. There it is. The Return of the King. It's amazing. We were going to do one each year with the anniversary, but the popular demand book is mushing along. So here we are, the beginning of the Return of the King. being the third part of the Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Oh, and you always have to say this part. 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. Good. Book 5, because it's 6 books, isn't it? Chapter 1, Minas Tirith. Pippin looked out from the shelter of Gandalf's cloak. He wondered if he was awake or still sleeping, still in the swift-moving dream in which he had been wrapped so long since the great ride began. The dark world was rushing by, and the wind sang loudly in his ears. He could see nothing but the wheeling stars, and away to his right, vast shadows against the sky, where the mountains of the south marched past. Sleepily, he tried to reckon the times and stages of their journey, but his memory was drowsy and uncertain. There had been the first ride at terrible speed without a halt, and then in the dawn, he had seen a pale gleam of gold, and they had come to the silent town and the great empty house on the hill. And hardly had they reached its shelter when the winged shadow had passed over once again, and men wilted with fear. But Gandalf had spoken soft words to him, and he had slept in a corner, tired but uneasy, dimly aware of the comings and goings of men, talking, and Gandalf giving orders. And then again riding in the night. This was the third night since he had looked in the stone. And with that hideous memory, he woke fully and shivered, and the noise of the wind became filled with menacing voices. A light kindled in the sky, a blaze of yellow fire behind dark barriers. Pippin cowered back, afraid for a moment, wondering into what dreadful country Gandalf was bearing him. He rubbed his eyes, and then he saw that it was the moon rising above the eastern shadows, now almost at the full. So the night was not yet old, and for hours the dark journey would go on. He stirred and spoke. "Where are we, Gandalf?" he asked. "In the realm of Gondor," the wizard answered. "The land of Anorian is still passing by." So I wish us all bon voyage on the Return of the King, and I look forward to everybody's comments and thoughts and feelings, and enjoy.